Kristen Dodd, look what Hurricane George brought into Mobile Bay. I'll bring you a live report coming up.
And I'm Jeff Morrow in Montgomery, Alabama, where the rain continues to pelt down. We'll have a live update in just a moment.
Thanks a lot for joining us for this edition of Weather Center. I'm Rick Griffin. George has been downgraded now to a tropical depression. That is the latest. The position is now just north of Mobile, Alabama, at 31.1 north and 87.9 west. George now moving slowly northeastward, about 5 or 6 miles per hour, and again top sustained winds about 35 miles per hour or so. The main threats from now on will be the flooding, rain, and the threat of severe weather and isolated tornadoes. We'll talk more about that with our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons, in just a moment. First of all, just to let you know, once again, the center of George here, it is now a tropical depression. Dry air is sweeping in on the west side of the storm, and that's providing a nice day for the cleanup efforts southeast Louisiana, and clearing skies expected in southern Mississippi. Gradually improving conditions will be felt elsewhere. By the way, the tropical storm warnings have been discontinued, obviously, but small craft should remain in port along the Gulf Coast until waves and winds subside, and any folks venturing into the surfers, for instance, should be aware of the dangerous rip currents that continue to take place through this region. As you can see, the heaviest weather, northeast side of the storm, right at this point. The heaviest rains, parts of Alabama, Florida, and the Florida Panhandle and southeastern sections of Alabama. Well, we have some live crews in the field this morning. Jeff Morrow is in Montgomery, Alabama, and Kristen Dodd is in Pensacola, I should say in Mobile, Alabama. Let's go to Kristen first and get the latest out of Mobile. Kristen.
That's okay, Rick. Sometimes on this trip I've forgotten where I am as well. We've been changing a lot of locations. We are in Mobile, in the downtown area, with Mobile Bay behind me, and finally Mobile Bay is in its banks once again. The storm surge had come in and brought in a wall of water that flooded about 2 blocks of downtown Mobile. Now we just have a little bit of leftover flooding in the parking lot here of the convention center. Over here, though, is a good look at what Hurricane George brought in. A lot of trees, plenty of debris. Within this debris, we've also found some oddities, such as a key card from a hotel well across the bay. We also found about a 10-pound bag of coffee beans and little oddities all tied together, traveling with each other. Farther on, we do see some of the damage that was caused by the storm surge, and you can see some of the container loaded on ships, and those are all toppled over due to the storm surge and also the strong winds. As Rick mentioned, we were spending a lot of time in Pensacola, and I want to take this time to thank all the people who came out with us to bring us food and drinks and just to say hi. We really appreciated all the hospitality there, as well as here in Mobile. Now here's more on Montgomery, and we join Jeff Monroe.
All right, thank you very much, Kristen, and I kind of second that here for the folks in Montgomery, Alabama. They've really been nice to us here as well. It's been I'll have to say, a rotten morning weather-wise, obviously, in the capital city of Alabama. Rain's been pelting down ever since we got up at about 5 o'clock this morning, and at times it comes down pretty hard. A lot windier here than what it was yesterday, last evening when we were here. About a half a foot of rain has fallen so far, probably a little bit more in some areas just to the south of town, and the closer you get to the Gulf, obviously, the more you tap into more of that tropical moisture. But we expect it to continue to pelt down here on and off during the course of the day, and really flooding looms as the big problem now, obviously, as George is down to a tropical depression. Yesterday we were a little worried about tornadoes, but I understand that that threat is now a little bit farther on to the east in extreme southeast Alabama and on into Georgia. So here in Montgomery, we'll watch the rain come down, and we'll let you know if there are any big flooding problems developing. Right now, let's go back to Rick in the studio.
Jeff in Montgomery, Alabama. Well, let's go right now to our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. Steve, the last update on George has come in already, but there may be more perhaps down the road, because there's a potential that George could regenerate if the center makes it to the Atlantic Ocean. Also, in the meantime, even though it's been downgraded to a tropical depression, that by no means means there's an end to the heavy rainfall and the severe weather threat.
No, it doesn't. Overland, what you're getting now, you're going to continue to get the next day or so as it drifts off to the east-northeast or northeast slowly. And we can see on this visible satellite imagery a huge area of very intense thunderstorms that have developed here up over the Florida Panhandle and into extreme southwestern Georgia and extreme southeastern Alabama. There very, very severe weather in there, likely. Heavy rain for sure, and we can see that on the radar as well. In these heavy, heavy bands.
Well, the center of Georgia is still located north of Mobile, Alabama, and here, and these are intense tropical downpours, and embedded in these intense lines, Steve, there are isolated supercell thunderstorms with the potential for some fast-moving tornadoes.
That's right, and especially in southwestern Georgia here in the Panhandle, and that's going to shift on up toward the northeast later today. And keep in mind, your best potential for severe weather is with relatively sunny skies throughout the mid-morning and daytime hours, and then late afternoon, watch out if that's the case.
Of course, the flooding has been incredible in some areas, some rivers at all-time record flood stage, like the Shoal River near Crestview, Florida. What do you think about additional rain, let's say for southeast Alabama and the Florida Panhandle in this vicinity?
Well, they could definitely get anywhere from 6 to 10 more inches, maybe more than that. And keep in mind, back in here, in the Alabama region too, and near Mobile, a lot of flooding is still going to go on there along the rivers. They're gonna be overbank full here. Some of them already, some of them tonight, and some of them all the way into the October 1st time frame, even though Georgia's long since passed them.
Takes a while for the water to run off and fill up the streams and creeks and rivers.
Exactly.
Well, we have a severe weather threat today. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you that severe thunderstorm watch graphically, but let me describe the area to you. It's southwest Georgia, southeast Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and the adjacent coastal waters. Steve, quite an unstable air mass in this region, and as you mentioned, if the sun comes out a little bit in South Georgia, West Georgia, that's going to aggravate the situation.
It sure is, and we'll have to keep an eye on the circulation as it continues to move to the east-northeast. There's always a chance once it gets offshore, it could redevelop in the Atlantic, but it's got a long way to go to get there at the current speed of motion. It's still moving relatively slow.
Okay, Steve Lyons, our hurricane expert. We appreciate your expertise and all your help during the last couple of days with Hurricane George, Tropical Storm George, now Tropical Depression George. Stay with us. We'll continue to update the situation. Of course, now focusing on still some flooding rain and the threat of severe weather. At the top and the bottom of the hour, we'll be with you. Right now, back to the studio, and here's Mike Motley.
Looking at what else is happening around the country today, it's quiet around much of the USA. We're seeing some activity into the Midwest with a frontal boundary and a trough and another cold front dropping down from Canada. We're seeing light to moderate showers here, a few embedded thunderstorms earlier in the day in Kansas, and we could see some more active weather into the Midwest as the day rolls along. Into the southeast, as we've been talking about, the rainfall from George continuing to bring heavy flooding here, showers in the northern Illinois into Wisconsin and northern lower Michigan, scattered rainfall into the Intermountain West and into the plains. Into the east, high pressure, a little fog in New York and into northern Pennsylvania, but nice weather along the eastern seaboard for today. Into the Midwest, those showers into Illinois, pushing off into Lake Michigan and into central Ontario, and cool temperatures behind this cold front. High in International Falls today around 58 degrees. Showers into the Midwest are light to moderate with some heavier rainfall just west of Chicago along Interstate 80 and I-88, and more light to moderate showers into northern lower Michigan. Into the southeast, besides George, we have a frontal boundary here that's blocking the storm and keeping things a little warm into the mid-south. And into the west, we're seeing a shower activity, our low pressure cell that's tracking towards the east. Fog into the Willamette River Valley and towards the Seattle and the Puget Sound area, and the possibility for some showers along our frontal boundary. And into California, we've seen a few showers into the Central Valley over the last few days, just south of Lake Tahoe and towards Columbia, but nothing too significant. And warm temperatures over the last few days. Houston yesterday hit 98, Galveston 96, and Lake Charles, Louisiana at 96. We're going to see much the same in the Southwest, so the warm temperatures not leaving the Lone Star State anytime soon. Very warm temperatures for sure are on tap. Well, coming up, we will have more on the weather taking place in the country, and we're going to talk about what else is happening. And can we go to another source because the machine has locked up and this is not going to move any further? Can we go to... We'll talk about this. And we will continue to talk about the rain that is continuing into sections of... On the storm watch, some showers into the Midwest and a few embedded thunderstorms, but the big story is what was Hurricane George, now downgraded to tropical storm, bringing lots of rainfall and tornadic activity into the Gulf Coast southeast. That's the topic on our tropical update on this Tuesday. And we'll go on to the update and show you where what is left of our storm is right now. George, the tropical depression at 31.1 north, 87.9 west, around 30 miles north of Mobile, Alabama. Winds are now down to 35 miles per hour, moving northeast at 6, and the pressure at 995 millibars. And we can tell, of course, that the tropical storm advisories have been canceled because of the storm is more inland, and we'll still see some bands of showers, though, into the Gulf of Mexico. Winds are not as strong as they were, but still over into eastern portions of the Panhandle. We're seeing wind gusts around 79 miles per hour towards Panama City. And within the last 30 minutes, we did have a reported tornado on the ground in Gulf County, just east of Panama City, and bands of very heavy rainfall still coming from the Gulf into Alabama and Florida, and also into Georgia. And you can see from the dark orange of the convection that that's where that heavy rain and wind gusts are, and our tornadic activity towards just east of Panama City. Showers and rain pushing still into southern Alabama around Dothan and Ozark and the Wiregrass region. Showers also heavy in southwestern Georgia, and moderate to heavy showers around the Atlanta area. Our cloud bands back into Mississippi, and clear skies into Louisiana and Mississippi, and they're getting a chance to dry out after all the rain that they've got, but it'll take a while for things to get back to normal. There's a view of a very heavy rain in the yellow that's pushing slowly towards the north and then tracking back towards the northwest, and the heaviest rain into the southeastern corner of Alabama and into extreme southwestern Georgia, and lots of rain from Dothan up towards Montgomery. Within the region, flash flood watches and warnings remain in effect, and some sections of the Gulf Coast south have seen upwards to 35 inches of rainfall from this storm, and a little bit more rain on the way because of its slow movement. And then we're still going to see the rivers not hit flood stage in some places till Wednesday or Thursday. So you're in for a long haul with lots of rain, and then the forecast for the next 5 to 7 days calls for more rain in the region. So very soggy with flooding throughout portions of Alabama and Georgia and Florida, back into Mississippi and into Louisiana, even into New Orleans again. Looking at other activity into the Atlantic, this is Hurricane Jeanne at 36 north, 34.8 west, or 450 miles west-southwest of the Azores Islands. Winds are at 80 miles per hour. It's moving towards the northeast at 14 miles per hour. Pressure at 983 millibars. And back on the mainland, here's that tornado watch box for the central and western portions of the Florida Panhandle, extreme southeastern Alabama, and southwestern Georgia. This is in effect till 8 p.m. Eastern time, so a long time to go still on this system. And what could make things worse, if you see sunshine here today, that afternoon heating with the unstable air could bring the tornadic activity and heavy thunderstorms in the waterlogged region. Into the Midwest, we have another system here that could bring some heavy thunderstorms into Kansas and Missouri, Iowa and Nebraska. We saw some embedded thunderstorms around Russell earlier this morning, and some heavy rainfall in central Missouri, and it could fire up again with that afternoon heating coming into play later on today. Into the Intermountain West and the Four Corners, scattered showers here. Rainfall from Iowa and Minnesota that's pushed off into Wisconsin, now into Illinois and portions of Michigan. But the Northeast is the place to be. We're looking at dry conditions and lots of sunshine, a mix of sun and clouds, and partly cloudy skies and nice and cool. We're looking at high pressure. The reason why it's so nice in the Northeast today, our frontal boundary blocking the rainfall into the southeastern shores, but the front will move and we'll be able to get more rainfall into the Carolinas and showers in advance of our cold front into the Midwest that'll drop further into the Midwest tomorrow and bring more rainfall into the heartland for your Thursday or for your Wednesday. Midday today, rain along our front will continue into the Midwest, and more rain from Georgia and rain along our cold front out into the Atlantic Ocean. And for this evening, more scattered showers into the southwest and Intermountain West, and more rain from Georgia into the Midwest. And for tomorrow, our cold front drops down and brings more showers and thunderstorms in Iowa and Nebraska.
Umbrellas are required as George brings more rain to the southeast. We'll show you who may soon feel the storm's effects next on Weather Center after your local forecast.